to the maximum security Clinton Correctional Facility in upstate Dannemora, New York. U.S. intelligence likely did this to take away Tupac's media mouthpiece and to begin their use of penal coercion tactics on him. Prison officials worked with U.S. intelligence to damage the mind of political prisoners with these tactics. In this Amnesty International report, they described 8 penal coercion methods, all of which were used on Tupac, including his 10 months in solitary confinement. Guards also used torture tactics on Tupac in sticking their gloved fingers up his rectum. They pretended to look for contraband each time a visitor saw him, despite that a guard monitored these visits. The penal coercion aided what appeared as several U.S. intelligence plans for Tupac. The first plan involved strangers in jail telling Tupac that his friend, fellow rap star Biggie Smalls, aka Notorious Big, born Christopher Wallace, set up his New York shooting. Tupac also received anonymous letters saying that New York-based Biggie set up his shooting. California-based Tupac started to believe the idea, and the media hyped this as the East Coast versus West Coast rap war. U.S. intelligence successfully manufactured the East Coast versus West Coast Black Panther War using the same tactics versus California-based Black Panther founder Huey Newton and Afeni Shakur's New York Panthers. U.S. intelligence also appeared to have started a front company named Death Row Records in 1992. Death Row made regular, extremely generous offers to Tupac to join them before the rap star landed in prison. Death Row Records owners Suge Knight and Dave Kenner are seen here. Kenner, a white attorney, had made himself the actual power, enlisting himself as CEO of Death Row's umbrella company that he created. Knight is seen standing to the right of Kenner. The two Death Row heads flew from Los Angeles to New York with regularity to get Tupac on their label. In September of 1995, Tupac finally signed a 3-CD contract with them and was released from prison within days. This effectively ended Tupac Shakur's relationship with his top political mentors. His business manager, New African People's Organization Security Director Watani Tayahimba, said Tupac cried on his shoulder, saying he knew he was selling his soul to the devil. Tayahimba said that he and NAPO's national chair, Chokwe Lumumba, Tupac's national lawyer, didn't know exactly what Death Row was, but they knew that they couldn't have any connection with Death Row without risking their whole organization. In his book Dark Alliance, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Gary Webb detailed how a top national crack trafficker, Freeway Ricky Ross, had bought his crack from CIA-linked international traffickers. Webb said that Death Row's founder, Michael Harry O. Harris, was one of Ross's top 2 associates. Death Row CEO Dave Kenner was Harris's attorney. High-level Los Angeles police detective Russell Poole broke open to the public what his fellow police officers were doing inside Death Row Records. Award-winning filmmaker Nick Broomfield highlighted Poole, reporting his findings in the documentary Biggie and Tupac. Veteran journalist Randall Sullivan wrote his book Labyrinth on Poole and his findings. Detective Poole, seen here at a crime scene, found dozens and dozens of his fellow Los Angeles police officers at all levels of Death Row Records. Poole's superiors told him that these police officers in Death Row Records could be considered troubleshooters or covert agents. Poole found that employees of Death Row trafficked drugs and guns as well as laundered money. Death Row also helped break up political rap groups, such as NWA. They lured top rap producer Dr. Dre from NWA, and then they got him to stop criticizing marijuana and start promoting it. They also terrorized the political rap conventions that invited Tupac to speak. Death Row further helped instigate the East versus West rap feud. This was the feud that had Tupac in conflict with Biggie and Biggie's producer Sean Puffy Combs, later known as P. Diddy, seen here. Knight and Death Row also tried to end the Blood vs. Crips gang peace truce. While Tupac had worked on furthering the Blood-Crips peace truce, Suge Knight instigated fights between Bloods and Crips that he employed. These fights escalated to the point that a Blood gang member working at Death Row murdered a Crip gang member at a small Death Row concert. Despite witness reports, police failed to arrest anyone at this concert. Knight accomplished these actions with his head of security, a former Los Angeles police officer, Reggie Wright Jr. Reggie Wright Sr. headed the Compton area Los Angeles Police Gang Division. Detective Russell Poole ended up resigning from the police force when he said that his superiors blocked his investigation of death row records. Before his resignation, he found that these 3 police officers played a large part in death row's operations. Rafael Perez, seen on the right, worked for the Rampart Division's elite undercover crash unit. The Los Angeles Police Department's crash unit participated in Operation Hammer, which conducted regular mass detentions. One such police sweep arrested over 1,400 people at one time for suspected gang activity. Only 32 of those 1,400 detained ended up with an actual charge. Best-selling author Mike Davis, who wrote City of Quartz, said police targeted gang truce leaders, and not even testimony from top politicians could stop their long-term imprisonment on reported frame-ups. Davis also said police raided gang truce picnics and dances. One such gang leader turned truce leader, Monster Cody Scott, wrote a best-selling book, Monster, released in 1993, about his conversion to leftist activism. He strategized with Tupac and Mutulu Shakur before changing his name to Sanyika Shakur. Los Angeles police arrested him again in the mid-1990s. Another way Suge Knight appeared to be carrying out U.S. intelligence operations was in terrorizing people in Death Row's studio in front of Tupac. In this and other ways, they appeared to continue the penal coercion tactics used on Tupac in prison. With Death Row, Tupac wrote his most negative lyrics. While in prison, Tupac had vowed to give up smoking weed. Upon leaving prison, Knight and Kenner reportedly gave Tupac much weed and alcohol, leading him to write many of his lyrics high and drunk within 24 hours of his release. Despite the negative lyrics, Tupac's All Eyes on Me double CD became the second fastest selling album of all time. It went triple platinum in 1996. By the summer of 1996, Tupac fought with Suge Knight, saying he completed his contract when he finished his next CD, released as Machiavelli's Don Columinati, The 7-Day Theory. Tupac had already started his own record company, Euthanasia, which Yasmin Fula ran. This picture shows Tupac's Euthanasia letterhead and regular payments from the new company to his stepfather Mutulu Shakur, his godfather Geronimo Pratt, and his mother Afeni. Afeni was still working for Pratt and Mutulu's release from jail. Yasmin Fula was married to imprisoned Bronx Black Panther Sekou Odinga. That summer, Tupac was also settling down, having moved in with his fiancée, Kadeda Jones, music mogul Quincy Jones's daughter. Jones said she and Tupac planned on having a baby, and Tupac had largely given up smoking and drinking at that time. At the end of August, Tupac signaled his exit from death row when he fired his death row attorney, Dave Kenner. 9 days later, Tupac had planned to attend the Mike Tyson boxing title match in Las Vegas. One of his 2 personal death row bodyguards, Kevin Hackey, tried to get Tupac to back out of going. Hackey later revealed that he was working undercover for the FBI at that time, but apparently turned on the FBI in telling Tupac not to go to Las Vegas. Hackey encouraged Tupac to move near his activist mentors in Atlanta. For that, death row fired Hackey. Hackey said that soon after, the FBI set him up on a gun possession charge and imprisoned him for months. Tupac attended the Vegas Tyson fight and headed for a post-fight concert in Knight's car. This is the last picture of Tupac, taken minutes before his death. Death Row Security Chief Reggie Wright made the unusual move of keeping guards out of their car, taking guns away from the guards, and giving Tupac's other personal bodyguard a mobile phone without a battery. Gunmen did a fatal drive-by shooting on Tupac. Despite over 13 bullets fired in Knight's direction, not one directly hit him. Kevin Hackey said he had documents to prove that FBI and ATF agents were in Tupac's motorcade and watched his murder. As Tupac lay dying in the hospital, Knight reportedly sent cases of guns to Blood gangs and said the Crips shot Tupac. Many fatal shootings amongst the gangs ended the peace truce until activists spread the word that the Crips likely didn't shoot Tupac. Tupac died at the age of 25. The night of the next Mike Tyson fight, somebody fatally shot Yafu Fula in the head. Fula, seen here, was Tupac's backup singer as part of the Outlaws. He was also Bronx Black Panther founder Sekou Odinga's son and had told Las Vegas police he thought he could identify Tupac's murderer. Vegas police had told the media that there was no forthcoming witnesses. On Tupac's final completed CD, Don Columinati, The 7-Day Theory, he had lyrics discussing Haitian Jack Agnant, saying that he knew he was working for the feds or the FBI in setting up his New York frame-up and shooting. This dispelled the notion that Biggie Smalls set up the shooting, effectively ending the East versus West